joining. Really blessed that we have technology here and we can all get together. Incredible holy day, the Altarebi's Yortzeit, and I'm praying, as the Tanya teaches us, the day of a passing of a tzaddik. It's just all of his life's energy and his work and his life, like his emunah, his bitachon, his avat Hashem, yirat Hashem, his avat Yisrael, everything like that he lived for and gave his life over to, spills over to us, especially this holy day, in an awesome, incredible way. And I pray that in the merit of us all getting together here and studying together, it will be for a merit of a complete refuah shleimah for chana, malka, sara, esther, and also for the nishmas of Aaron Meir ben Baruch, which these all are dear family friends of mine for over 20 years. I know Chana Malka since she was just even a 4-year-old, and she was coming to my classes as a youngster when we had children's classes in 770 and after school programs. Such a neshama, and in the merit of my dear friend, which is her mother, really we should just be dancing and celebrating, all of us and all of Am Yisrael, with complete refuahs in Yerushalayim Techav Umiyad Mamish. And as the Tanya actually teaches us, that which we know the Altarebi did write in the approbation. I just want to read it. It's so powerful. There's no way I can express it the way it's stated here. That it says in Parshas Ki Tavo that when you enter the land, there was Moshe Vilniker, who was one of the emissaries of the Altarebi, who writes that when we study Tanya, we enter the land. Definitely it speeds up the redemption, so we can really physically enter the land. But in a spiritual sense, until that real day, it actually, when we study Torah, the essential will of our soul will manifest, will be revealed, will be redeemed. For the word ratzon, we can rearrange it, is eretz. And definitely the ways of serving Hashem that is taught in Tanya serve to transmute whatever curses that are enumerated in Parshat Ki Tavo into blessings. So it's a powerful tool to help us really get to a transformation. If you look at the class title, it says from transactional to transformative Judaism, because many years, as we were just the beginning, like in our journeys of becoming a people, and just like when a child has to be trained, you have to say, if you listen, you'll get this reward. If you don't listen, you'll have a timeout, or there's consequences, and you're kind of like guiding the child to until he better understands that the things that we're trying to train them to is for their own benefit. So in the beginning, like metamorphosis of us as a people, Hashem had to give us the Torah in a certain way that we'll understand that when we do this, we'll get that. And that's transactional. And that's a bit self-serving in some ways. Oh, I want to do this because I want to get that. I want to get blessings. I don't want to get cursed. And yes, we need that kind of push a little bit even today, but not in like, a fearful and scary way, in a more like a way of like, I am fearful that I will do something that will disconnect the connection, that I'll do something that will make me further away from the bonding and unity that I want with Hashem. I'm like, you love someone so much that you just want to please them, and you want to just do things right for them, so that you're like a bit fearful, but not in a scary way. It's just coming from a very good place. And as here it says in the approbation, Tanya is the incest for the spirit of the soul. In keeping with the, this analogy of like this cure, and of all the blessings and all the incredible gifts that one will get. And as Rabbi Steinsaltz states, Tanya guides us to achieve harmony of body and soul, of earthiness and transcendence. Tanya helps us learn how we can each elevate our soul to a higher level of an awareness and understanding, until our objectives are synonymous with God's, our godly potential. So, I remember when I was first introduced to Tanya, my husband really was saying, your counselor and like whatever's written in Tanya is like so, the deepest like truths of how to transform and how to become elevated and how to heal and how to really become more free to be the best that we can be. And if you look at the stages of the period of the time of our lives as a nation, now more than ever we're ready to experience firsthand like what was not given to us now we have access to, because we're so close to the ultimate redemption. We're so ready to as an adult level relationship with Hashem. We're so much more ready to have this relationship like adults, and not like hold on to the fear factor and what I always say, like the toddler relationship with Hashem. We've moved away from that. And because we're so ready for the truth, God has given us these deepest teachings, starting from all the way back in the times of the Altarebi, to be able to access our truest self because we're ready for it. Before we needed the lower level tactics because we weren't ready. And now, even how many 200 plus years after the Altarebi, how much even more ready with the teachings of our Rebbe, with Dvar Malchus and all the panimiut of the Torah's teaching. So I was actually getting this message all my life, of just wanting to break free to be the best that I can be, and always searching and yearning and longing for like the answer, and so I went through all kinds of different modalities of all kinds of training to like help. Nothing was really working, because as Tanya teaches us, as long as your animal soul is on fire in a not good way, and as long as you don't tame it and train it and get to that point of taking this learning and persuade with rationality this animal soul, it's kind of an inner avenger, and it's always like in harm's way and always wanting to steal you away from your true self. So the only way to really have this transformative level from the Torah is when you're guided from the Torah's remedy. Otherwise, all these other things are just like band-aids, or in a way that it's not bringing its ultimate, harmony of mind, body, and soul. And definitely, as we know, bringing meaning to Torah and mitzvahs, is a whole nother level of a cure, because so many of us prior to studying Hasidus, it was always like our relationship with God was based on fear. Our relationship with God was based on like, oh, we don't want to defy God's will because, the consequences. And it was very burdensome for many of us. It was a very tall order that we just couldn't really wrap our heads around and brought meaning to it. Even as much as everyone wants, bliss in the world to come, but when you have to face daily life, it's very difficult to think about, oh wow, I'll have bliss in Gan Eden. As Altarebi always was like, I don't even care about your Gan Eden blessing. All I want to do is be attached to you. So, so studying Hasidus, studying the Tanya especially, gives us meaning behind what we're doing. Even just something like chapter 4 of Tanya, where it talks about each mitzvah is a garment for our soul. And each mitzvah elevates our soul infinitely. It's not about just, pleasing God in a sense and getting a reward in Gan Eden. It's actually a formula. Each mitzvah is a formula to allow our godly soul faculties to come out. Just like a garment beautifies a person, so too each mitzvah, now we understand, is not just this God dictator up in the world to, pressing us and scaring us into listening to his will and we have to be like these servants and slaves. No, it's like God is saying, here's the gift. And in this gift is the key to all your best qualities. And each mitzvah is infinitely raising you to the highest of order. So even someone like, Baruch Hashem, someone who has had, let's say, parents, but parents sometimes can be authoritative and very demanding, and you listen to what I have to say and go to bed and brush your teeth, and without that very cuddly, warm energy. So dealing with a father-like figure up in heaven that's continuously demanding of you and telling you what to do, it's hard for a lot of people. It's really not easy. So when you study Hasidus and it's saying I'm your father, let's try to now, with this newer revealed dimension of the Torah, let's move away from this toddler relationship. I love you, I'm lovesick for you, and this is for your benefit. This will reveal this incredible redemption of who you truly are. I tell you, I remember Rabbi Jacobson was saying how a person may be in prison, but he's sitting on the key. So this generation, Hashem gave us the key. He gave us the key to our redemption, to get out of this imprisoned mindset, to get out of this imprisoned brokenheartedness and despair and inability to experience the joy and the love of life and the vitality. So we see that in Tanya, it actually, and many other Hasidus teachings since then that focus on the way to really increase your fiery love for God, for Judaism, for doing these mitzvot, actually acts like a koshering system. Right before Pesach, a lot of people are taking their pots and pans and they're firing it up and they're koshering it. So the fire of this love and this understanding and this enthusiasm and this vitality in toward mitzvahs actually causes a koshering and a purification of this animal soul. So, and as well as the more, you study and the more you meditate and the more, we always say, pray, the mind that is thinking these thoughts, that is a very, fact that you're using your rational faculty, also is affecting the rationality of this animal soul. And as Hasidus and the Altarebi explains, that in this way you really use your mind to create like a home for God. So God really resides in your brain, which ends up then residing in your heart. Because the more your mind is filled up with godliness and godly concepts, the more your mind actually is so full, as the Tanya teaches us, that it spills into the right part of your heart. And the right part of your heart, where there's less blood, begins to then now have this love, ignited, and this understanding helps a person to rid of the burden of these Torah mitzvahs, and the more you use this like meditative way of studying and praying and meditating, then your right heart will be so full of understanding. As we know, even science says that our heart is our second brain. Then the heart filled with this like understanding of it's not this dictator telling me what to do. It's not like forceful and robotic and burdensome. And this fire and this passion of being able to do the things that you do then is so filled up that it then eventually spills over to your left part of your heart. And that's where there's more blood physically. And that's where the animal soul mainly resides. Yes, the animal soul has a rational like part of it, so that when it's now forced, as it were, to think about these concepts, then it's not then coerced to about face and listen to your rational being, that part of you, that understands now better that why it's so important to do these Torah mitzvahs. Then it has like a light bulb, like a flashlight, kind of energy to it. And wow, I get it now. God is not trying to be my dictator. He's not trying to whip me into being this a slave to him. He wants this for my benefit. And so then on its own terms, when we more and more use our brain in this way, when we more and more ignite our rational mind and also ignite the emotional, excitation of this knowledge that we just had gotten, then it can spill over into our left part of our heart. And just recently, when I was reading a quote by Jonathan Sachs that said, "To find meaning in life is to find something we are called on to that no one else can do. And discovering that task is not an easy one, but once we find out what it is, meaning that we can really figure out our life task, it takes a new meaning in our life. And then, then we can really recover the will to live." So yes, every one of us has a unique way of being able to hopefully transform the world. But if you really look at what is life's meaning in its most simplest form, on its most simplest level, Torah and mitzvahs brings life and meaning, that we have a mission, that we have a purpose, that we have yet to be a part of this collective army, as it were, of Hashem, and do whatever we can to bring a little more light in our own way. And it doesn't have to be something grand. It doesn't have to be so world, changing. Because when you just save one life, that's world changing. When you're just nicer, and less of a jerk to just realize that impact for that moment, not even the whole life of that person's moment, that one moment, that is what we're here for. And yes, the Tanya helps us become less of that jerk and more patient and more compassionate. And it's endless reasons, like in the Tanya, of how good it is for our personal development so that we can transform. And it was interesting, I was learning, by miracle, I was in the airplane and I happened to, I don't know how it was in the book that I chose to take with me. It always happens this way. And in this book was a pamphlet by the Rebbe teaching how, like, you know, how to be in this, like, real transformative way so that we're like a light, like the menorah. If you look at the menorah was situated right in front of a window which was concave, which normally, you know, you light up a light to like light up the home, so the window wouldn't be concave. But it was designed to be in concave form because the light's purpose was to light outside, because having a concave window caused this light of the menorah to shine, like, I don't know, throughout the whole land of Israel. It was like that holy and powerful. Well, in today's day and age, we can see with technology how with a click of Facebook, our light of our face is shining, you know, all over the world. But back then, can you imagine, like, this light, you know, all over all of the land of Israel from this one menorah? So the teaching was that this light had to be ignited from the light of, meaning the fire and of this menorah had to be ignited from the fire of the outer mizbeach. And the outer mizbeach represents our job to take our light and shine it to others, because it's this outer mizbeach was in the outer part of the holy temple, and it was in reference by the Rebbe that this outer light of the mizbeach represents igniting other people. So the more you refine yourself and you're nicer and calmer and a good example, kind of like, as I always say, a walking Torah, then what happens is this not only helps the other get ignited, but then it helps your light to continue shine. It helps your light to continue to become a light unto yourself. So we have to really see what we can do to have a life that's purposeful, that's filled with integrity, and really work hard not to like stray from that path of leading a life of meaning and really capture every moment and not let the desires of the outside world that we can constantly fall prey to get us off the track, so that we're not so easily at prey. And I'm not only talking about like, okay, whatever's not holy. I'm talking about even like some of the mundane things. It's kosher and okay, but it's like so taken over our life that we don't have any time left over to like, you know, really pray like we want to, and really meditate and prolong our prayers, and really like really spend the time to pray morning and night. So so we see that Tanya does teach us how to harness our powers of our godly soul, elevate our soul infinitely, and at the same time helps us understand how to like capture this seemingly enemy within and like transform it into an ally through, again, persuasion. We see in Tanya that you know, we're taught that nothing in the world can change reality like the process of the transformation that happens during prayer time. Like, how many years did we women, how many years we women were taught, oh, we're women, we don't have to pray. Oh, we're women, it's, that's for the men. We're not commanded to. Altarebi comes in and his Shulchan Aruch says, women should pray as, Shacharit and Mincha, And here he says in Tanya, it's so important to do Shema Alamita and do the nighttime ritual of praying. And here we're taught like how important it is for us women to realize that more than anybody, we need to be on the ball with these holy spiritual tasks and spiritual endeavors, because we are the ones that are, really igniting the flame of Yiddishkeit in our home, as, the Rebbe has taught us also. And we see that, when we do take upon ourselves the daily, ritual practices as women, that our life's work of refining ourselves begin to really happen. It says in Tanya that, to be able to change reality, meaning if you want rain, if you want better parnasa, if you want to transform your animal soul, then the beginning of all those miracles that you want in your life starts with the power of prayer. And let me explain. For instance, if you're going to say a bracha on an apple, you are elevating and redeeming the sparks of this apple. When you pray, though, you're drawing God to elevate and transform yourself. It's one thing you have a power to elevate things, for sure, but you compare to God, you can't even compare, right? Between created and creator. So instead of relying on yourself to fix yourself, whether you're doing your own, this and that, realize that I am only a limited being, and I only have so much power to change and transform myself on my own. And that's why prayer is so important, because you're drawing God down into your life, drawing God down into the picture of your life to change your reality, whether it's your parnasa, your physical needs of refuahs and as well as transforming the animal soul. And I've taught this before from Tanya, as it is explained, that the fiery words of prayer is the first step. You're having an open heart surgery with the fiery words of prayer that melts away and incinerates and gets rid of the blockages of your heart. And once your heart is open, then now there is this room for God's wisdom to come into your heart. Otherwise, it just stays in your head or doesn't even get in there either, because you really need the fiery words to purify your whole body, to allow the first process of the knowledge, to enter your head. And I know I'm skipping ahead because I don't know my travel plans. There was a delay in my flying. Delta was shutting down flights because of this new, I don't know, I won't even call it variant. And so, but in next week's Parsha, Parsha's Bo, it talks about this whole process of how to get knowledge from your head into your heart, which Tanya teaches us. And the expression of the killing of the firstborn son at the time of the 10 plagues represents symbolically and spiritually the getting rid of the negative thoughts, which is the alien thoughts, the not holy thoughts, the counter productive, absolutely, destructive thoughts from the likened to the firstborn of the Mitzrayim. And the redemption of the thoughts, meaning the redeeming the firstborn son, like the Jewish people were asked to do, represents symbolically of our redeeming our godly intellect. And again, prayer makes our body ready and refines our body, and we need to do that daily anew, so that when we every day kind of kill and get rid of the negative mindsets, so that we're putting in the holy and incredible positive mindsets from Hashem's wisdom into our mind. And then, what happened after the redemption of the firstborn son? There was the Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Jewish people ran and escaped from the constraints and the slavery, right? Because if you have a negative mentality, you become enslaved by these negative thoughts. You think you're not good enough. You think you're not capable enough. You think you feel despair, and what's the point of all this? And you feel cold, and even worse. So in order to really redeem yourself, you have to get out of your head and take this knowledge and run away from, with this new knowledge, and run with it and take it into your heart. And that's why, if you look at the word Meitzarim, it's Meitzar, from Mitzrayim. Because this limited mindset constricts you, enslaves you, imprisons you, captures you, and doesn't let you become a light, doesn't let you feel redeemed, doesn't let you feel the joy of Torah and mitzvahs. Then what happens is, once you have prayed and you really cleanse your body, and once you've redeemed your godly intellect from meditation in prayer, then you continue the meditation in the next process of your learning Torah, so that the Torah knowledge can then enter your heart. Because you just had open heart surgery, as it were, to open your heart so it could receive this knowledge. Then it goes to the right part of your heart, and your love and your vitality and your awe feelings and all these percolating good, positive emotions that are birthed from this meditation in prayer and meditation in learning. And these birthing of these positive emotions are in you. It's not like you're creating them. This is God's gift to you. These are the 10 emanations of all the 10 spheres, right? That is yours as an inheritance. It's part of the DNA of your soul. And it becomes ignited. It becomes revealed in that right part of your heart. Then it becomes so activated and so full that there's no room anymore in this bright part of your heart, that it spills over to the left part of your heart. And that's where the mission is getting to its point of its destination. To this whole spirit of ecstasy, hopefully, and delight and pleasure and gratefulness and thankfulness and compassion on your soul, and all this unbelievable perked up mindsets that allowed your heart to flare, goes into that territory of your animalistic heart that has the desires to numb out your feelings, and has the desires to escape your mission and your purpose of being. So that when you really focus and meditate, and you see the first the last letter of Shema, which is Ayin, and then the last letter of Echad, when you're meditating on the oneness of Hashem, and you continue to do this day and day, you become a witness. You become a witness to this transformation that you're going through. And then you're like, wow, I have this, I can give it to others so they can witness a transformation. Because the whole purpose of your redemption and your transformation is for you to be ignited to then share what you know with others, to be able to, get to that place of, transformation. This woman was calling me and questioning. She really wants to, spread Hasidus, but yet she's not so, the Rebbe used to always say, Aleph, teach Aleph, and that happened to me too, trust me. And the example, when I opened the Igros to see, maybe she should maybe wait a while, not necessarily because there was other issues that she had to think about in her life, but the letter that I got was of to a person who was questioning to do this type of work and helping others get closer to Hashem, and the answer was, in short, that we can't be so selfish and just think of our own advancement and just sit and study ourselves and just get elevated and keep ad infinitum getting more and more, and reach new heights. That the whole purpose of that is to share that knowledge with others, and that even if it means a lot of self-sacrifice, and even if it means that you're taking away from your pleasure of learning, which, trust me, there is a pleasure in teaching and a pleasure in sharing that supersedes. I remember in Tanya, also I think in the approbation, when it said, if you understand, when you give a poor person, more than the poor person that you just gave to benefits, you benefit way more, because of the spiritual gifts that you get from giving. And so the Tanya teaches us that also, and even more so, as it were, when you are giving the gift to the needy, wisdom that they don't have. So if, for instance, someone doesn't have money, then you're actually, giving them a gift of something of yours, right? So when you give the gift of knowledge to someone who doesn't have as much knowledge of yours, as much as it is maybe, please God, you're seeing and witnessing how much it's helping them, as we said earlier, it really helps you even more than them. And, of course we want to be altruistic, and we want to be able to do it for the right reason and not have it as a transactional deed, as oh, I'm doing this because it's a transaction, because then I'll get that. But sometimes you need to dangle in front of that animal soul a rational reason, do this because this is what you're going to benefit. So that in the beginning it seems like it's not l'shem shamayim, and you're forcing, as it were, your animal soul to get on board so it won't distract you and persuade you to do otherwise. But eventually, as the Tanya also teaches us, that habit reigns supreme. So you're doing it for a certain reason, but really, even though you'll get in this habit, it's really your true self. It seems like you're adding on to this second nature of yours. It's not who you really are. Baba Mai says, the Altarebi says basically, that it is truly who you are. And that, don't think you're fooling yourself by forcing yourself to do certain things, that in reality it is the true core of your soul. And how many of us have such foreign strangers lingering in our head, alien thoughts that are so not based on truth and reality, that really trick us into feeling that we're not ready enough, that we're not gifted enough, that we're not this enough, and we just day after day stumble and get blocked from the real true essence of who we are. So, there's a teaching. I don't know. I've seen it many places, and I want to give all of you a blessing, really, and in the merit of being in this gathering. We should really see the seeds of our efforts blossom. But it was so beautifully said. May the seeds of our hearts blossom in our prayers, watered by the tears of joy. As the Baal Shem Tov teaches us, tears of joy is what breaks those barriers. Tears of joy is what poretz geder, as they say, and opens all the gates of heaven, which will be nurtured by our faith and take root in heaven and bear fruit here on earth. This is what we long for. This is what we want. This is what we want. That we should just continue to do our best and reignite and, as I always say, have this chiropractic spiritual alignment daily, so that so we have, like, like a plant that has that wooden piece that helps it grow straight and not be so weak with the winds of all that's happening around us. I really, really pray that that you continue to do what it takes to not give up and really get from that transactional kind of relationship with God, and move toward what's now so available to us, so that we have a transformational relationship with Hashem, including, the pleasure in doing Torah and mitzvahs, to transform not only our midot from, all the and negative into these shining gems, but that we even transform the connection that we have with Hashem from that toddler way of connecting to our Father in heaven to an adult relationship with Hashem. So I know there was supposed to be another possible other speaker. Let me see if they're online here. I don't even see. Hold on 1 second. Baruch Hashem.
Hi, Miriam?
Yes, hi.
Hi. So, do you want to speak on the Zoom?
Yes, so I think she's here. Hold on 1 second.
We just joined. Where are you holding?
So I just exactly now was thinking it's a good enough time to have you all start, because I know you were in person with all the people. So I felt like, okay, I'll start since there are people here on Facebook and on Zoom already. So if your speaker is ready, she can continue, and then maybe I'll do some closing last meditation or something for all of us to take on hachlatas for complete refuah, shleimah for your daughter, chana malka, and in the lezchus of what we're going to all collectively decide to do, we'll leave that at the end.
Okay, so you finished speaking already?
Yes, I did finish speaking. I mean, I have more to say, but I felt I've been 45 minutes. Hi.
This is Yael.
Hi. Wow, Yael, it's been so long. Wow. I have to show you the marriage the marriage workbook in your schools, and I gave you credit for the idea. It got done. Oh, if I have it here, I don't even know. Oh, maybe I do actually. Only because you're here. Look, it actually, the marriage workbook. She's the one who gave me the idea to do it. Yael, do you remember?
Wow. It's beautiful.
And it has it's a coloring book, and it has all different exercises and meditations, and And many people are sending me the pictures that they colored in your schos. And Ray Shagalov did the design.
For the couples, Miriam?
Yeah, for the couples. Anyway, let's go on to the speaker. We'll talk later. I was just so happy to see you and that you could see it. Oh, maybe I should show you all too.
The couple's supposed to paint it together?
Yeah, they can paint it together. They can do the exercise. Remember you told me I should do this?
It's brilliant. I love it. And you can get it online?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. Anyway, I want to go